So, about a month or so ago, the film Abraham Boys went to theaters, and it was something that I was going to go try to see because it was at my local theater and it was part of my A list. And I was like, all right, cool. And it presented itself saying that it was a Shudder film, which I usually always go to try to support those, as well as starring Jocelyn Donahue. And it is from a short story from Joe Hill, Stephen King's son. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I saw the trailer, and it was in the boxed like 4:3 format, and I was like, oh, okay, that's an interesting look. Obviously, they're trying to harken back to older cinema, and I don't know, the trailer just seemed kind of hollow and boring. Not really all that interesting, and I couldn't get Kaylee to go, and I just couldn't get the time myself to go, so I waited for it to drop. Here it is. It's on VOD. It should be on Shudder sometime later this year, but as of right now, to my knowledge, this is only available to rent. So this is, I guess, technically like a sequel to Dracula. I mean, that's the only way that I can really describe this. This is essentially Van Helsing, Abraham Van Helsing, after the events of Dracula, about maybe 15 years post Dracula, I think. And he has a wife and some kids, and he is warning his family about the dangers of vampires because of his, the stuff that he was doing with Dracula in the years prior to this. So, yeah, I mean, this plays out kind of like a sequel to the original Dracula story with Van Helsing. Which I thought was like, okay, that's really cool. I can dig on that. It takes place in the early 1900s, and they live on a farm, and the dad is constantly trying to teach the kids about the dangers out there in the world, and the mom has like fully bought into this, and she fears that something is afoot, and so the sons are being made aware of this and prepped to deal with it when and if it comes. The film is just really, really slow and not in a super interesting way. I think that this will find its audience eventually. I think this might have a small cult following one day, as kind of like a lost Dracula sequel, because there's cool things going on here. There's cool ideas. There's one film that all I could think of the whole time I was watching this about, and it's hard because I feel like if I say it, it's a bit of a spoiler. But I don't know. The concept, the actual like framework of this film is good, and I liked that conceptually. But as far as the execution, it just left so much to be desired because I never really cared that much because not enough was really going on that kept me engaged and intrigued. I kind of figured out pretty early on what this movie was trying to accomplish and was trying to ultimately say. And as it continued, I was like, okay, if they can land that, if that can really work, cool. But if they can't, then this movie is just going to be a slog to get through. And yeah, I mean, there's some decent style on display in this movie, like the direction, the cinematography. It's all fine. The look of the vampire character that we see in this movie, I really liked the look of him, but I think he makes an appearance for like 15 seconds altogether. There's just no real climax to this film, and I just feel like with the story they were trying to tell, they could have made this so much more engaging, and I just honestly left, like, the whole time I just kind of sat there, and this is a pretty short movie. But I really did just kind of feel bored the whole time, and looking at it going, it looks good. The acting is good. I think everyone in this is good. Right, so it feels like a competently made film, but the end result is just being bored mostly. And so, yeah, I'm a fan of slower burn films. I have no issue with that. But there just has to be something going on in there that keeps me wanting to see what happens next. And with this one, I was just kind of like, all right, like, I think I know where this is going. Let's get there. And then it did. And it was like, yeah, okay, that's what I figured. And I feel like it's fairly ambiguous on the conclusion. Like, I feel like you can kind of argue one or the other, and I'm fine with that, and I think that's cool, and that's why I say that I think this movie will have its audience, and I think that it's not a bad film, it's just kind of a boring film. I think that's really just what it comes. That's the biggest sin a film can commit, though, is to leave its audience bored. Right? When you're just kind of sitting there, like, waiting for the movie to end, that's not a good sign, right? So that's the biggest fault of the film, is just that it bores you. So this had potential. This definitely had potential. It wasn't able to capitalize on that. So yeah. Plus, I'm not a big vampire fan anyway, but I don't think that's the problem, right? So anyway, yeah, I don't know what else to say about this film, but it's going to be on Shudder soon. So if you have Shudder, it's easy to throw on. It's quick, but it don't feel quick. The last thing I'll say here is the movie. If you want to know what movie I was referring to, it's kind of a spoiler, sort of. But I'm going to liken it to a film that I reminded me of throughout the whole damn thing. And I don't know anyone who could watch this and not be reminded of it if they haven't seen that movie, because it's kind of just that movie, but a Dracula sequel. So here's the title if you want to know. If not, please click away. The movie Frailty with Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey. So you kind of know what they're getting at now. And you'll figure that out pretty early on. If you didn't stay for this, which I'm not now talking to, or if you came back after watching it to be like, what movie was it? I want to know, because I'm sure he's going to say Frailty. If you've seen that movie, you'll then be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what this movie's going with. Except for in Frailty, there's a much more definitive answer, in my opinion. But with this one, unless I missed something, it feels kind of ambiguous one way or the other. So that's that. Cool idea. Poor execution. And I didn't even talk about Jocelyn Donahue. She's not in this very much. She's kind of a secondary character. She's there. She's around. She's the mom in the background, but she doesn't get a lot of screen time. It's mostly the older son is like the main character of the movie. And God, there's just nothing going on in this movie more times than not. So that's that. Anyway, if you love Frailty and you want to see like a early 1900s Dracula sequel of sorts version of that, check it out. Maybe you'll be more entertained by it than I was. But that's that. I'll see you in the comments. Adios.